are 6 million Americans in the United States who are living with Alzheimer's disease. 2/3 of them are women. And female researchers are hoping to change that, or at least understand more about what's going on. Erica Arias is in Studio 61 this morning with more. Good morning.
Tim, good morning. Well, this Saturday is International Women and Girls in Science Day. And joining us here in Studio 61 is Suyeon Ju, a postgraduate research associate in the Fredericks Lab at Yale, which is funded in part by the Alzheimer's Association. Suyeon, thanks for being with us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So if you could share with us and our viewers how you got into the sciences and how you got into Alzheimer's research at Yale.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually had a pretty early start to learning science in that my parents are both researchers actually at the University of California, San Diego.
Oh, great.
And so actually oftentimes growing up, I'd learn a lot just from listening to their conversations about their lab experiments over dinner. But then I started to love science also through my schooling, really loved the hands-on aspects of it. And so from there, I really developed an interest in research and also in neurodegenerative diseases just through my clinical experience interactions.
And tell us a little bit more about your Alzheimer's research specifically.
Yeah, for sure. So that what we're doing right now is focusing on sex differences, looking at sex differences in the brain. And in particular, we're actually looking at the differences in how male and female brains work during memory tasks. And so right now we're trying to answer this sort of big question of why are women more vulnerable to Alzheimer's? And so we're actually looking at data right now from men and women between the ages of 36 to 100 to see where these differences are and if and how they occur.
That is really so fascinating because so much is still unknown
Absolutely.
about Alzheimer's. Now, you had an interest in science early on. What do you want young women out there to know about getting into the sciences or staying in the sciences as a field for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot that's being done in terms of getting more women and girls into science now, more so than there were before. But I think the biggest thing is just to, if you have an interest, if you have a curiosity, to keep it up and have the self-confidence for yourself, and sky's the limit from there.
You do see a difference from when you were younger, when we were younger in school, to what's happening now to encourage young girls to stay and to get into the sciences?
Yeah, for sure. And even from a few years ago, when I was actually still in college, in some of my classes, in particular some of my engineering classes, there actually tended to be less women, a lot less women than there were men. And again, a lot has changed and things are continuing to change, but there's definitely more room to improve to raise awareness for this.
Was there anyone, a teacher, professor in your schooling and your education that really fostered that interest for you in the sciences?
Yeah, so actually, I'd say that my AP biology teacher
in high school,
at that point, she was a really big rock for me in terms of not only becoming more interested in biology, but also helping me realize that I've really, my interest can take me so far as long as I really work at it, and also, just in general, she was a really good female mentor for me, and showing me how far you can go in science and how much you can do with it.
Yeah, just goes to show. Of course, shout out to all of our teachers, all of our female teachers in the sciences and the STEMs for all that they're doing to encourage women and girls to stay in the sciences and to pursue it as a future.
For sure.
Suyeon, thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hopefully we can have you back for more on the Alzheimer's research.
Sure, we'll do.
That is
Thank
really
you so much.
important to stay on top of.